Ah, Barrow, I wonder what you have that could make so many people gasp in awe. Ah, you would have Fulmination, which is plus 166%. 666? Wishful. Plus 66% blast radius, and primed Firestorm, which is plus 66% blast radius. But how useful are these really? To answer this question, what I wanted to do, what we should probably do is remove normal Firestorm, which is... wow. I didn't know it was more than twice the blast radius. Okay. Now I'm intrigued. As I stated, when something like the Proboscis Cernos came out, it had a lovely range. It pulled in a lot of enemies. It still kind of does have that same range, but the blast radius sucks. On these mods are completely and utterly useless because it already does what it needs to do. It pulls them towards it. Increasing the blast radius on this is pointless. You may as well increase the blast radius on that, which would be the Zakti Prime, which kind of detonates people's heads, which is a very weird thing to have to say about a weapon. Boop, in the head and kaboom. Increasing that using Fulmination will work wonders, but for anything that shoots a rocket, for example, trying to hit kind of towards the middle, you can see it actually affected the enemy on the outside there. Ever so slightly. That's without Firestorm. With Firestorm actually in there, if we aim towards the same place and shoot again, it now affects... oh. No, it is affecting this one ever so slightly, but it is affecting them. Which in itself, of course, includes the Spore Lacer, the new secondary kit gun. Really, it's a kit gun head, but it kind of shoots little rockets. Not the best of radius for this, is it? But throw Fulmination on, and it should be a lot better. Hang on. Really? That's got to be wrong. That has to be very, very wrong. It's worse? Another prime example would be the Bubonico. If we fire this, you can see it has quite an effective range. It's actually pretty much the same as the Spore Lacer, but never mind. But sadly, this thing doesn't have one of these mods. There is nothing to increase the blast radius on this, which I still think there needs to be. Kind of badly. If there is, I have absolutely no idea what it is. After looking through every mod in here, can't find anything that increases the blast radius of this, because it uses shotgun mods, which is a shame, because this or that mod would have gone really well on this weapon. Even something like the Angstrom. Charge it up, fire it. That is a really widespread, actually. Biggest problem I have with this thing? Yes, this thing does way more damage than I remember it doing. Does not have a great blast radius. But what it does have now is Fulmination installed, which kind of increases the blast radius quite a bit, but it's still a very small radius. So with everybody complaining these mods are kind of useless, I agree on little things like this. It's not meant to have a massive blast radius. If it was 100% doubling the blast radius, I would turn around and say these mods are more than worth it. If you run these mods anyway, it is of course worth it. It is more than doubling what the normal Fulmination or the normal Firestorm is actually doing. But you have to remember, all this does is increase the blast radius. It also increases the blast radius of that explosion at the end, which isn't the best of things in the world. I just wish this worked on the shotguns. If it worked on the shotguns, this would be so much better. In fact, if we put this now into the Shadow, it's pretty much hitting all of the enemies because it hit you ever so slightly. See? It's now hitting the enemies at the end over the normal Firestorm that wasn't hitting the enemies at the end. Guess the only real last thing I can do to test this would be to reload this. See how many enemies have been affected by it. It seems to be you're not. So just the inner ones again. then run in and do it again, and it should be a little bit wider. It kind of got some of them over this way because I was over to the right a bit, but yeah. This is what I mean by this mod is worth it. It does increase the blast radius, obviously, because the enemies over here were hit by it. Also love to point out the fact that this, with 2 mods missing, is taking out level 100s like they weren't even there. Have a grenade. Still love this weapon. It is a little bit too much. Well, that side of it is. Which is why I wanted to pick up this mod anyway. It just takes a good gun that has a long range and makes it slightly better. Not a great deal better, just slightly better. If it was much more of a blast radius, being a primed mod, if it had have gone to 100% radius, this mod would have been way worth it. But I wouldn't say, like a lot of people are, that these mods are completely useless. They do exactly what they are supposed to do. They take out enemies at a much further range than they were before. And that's exactly what it's supposed to do. It increases the blast radius of anything that has a radial attack. And it does it very effectively. If you're using it, they're worth picking up. If you're not, don't. Because it costs 40,920 Endo and nearly 2 million credits to max a primed mod. That is nuts. And I think with that bit of disappointment, we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.